Hello, gang. How is everybody today? I'm hoping we are up and live as usual. Thanks for joining me again on fairly short notice. I, uh, in fact, while I'm thinking about this, I wanted to do it last week, and I'll ask you now while we're giving everybody a few minutes to get rolling in here. If you could, in the chat section there, put in here wherever you're from. It was funny last week or the last couple of weeks we've had, I think, a couple guys from Australia. So for you guys, happy 8 o'clock in the morning on a Friday morning. It's tomorrow there, and if you're sitting at your workspace hanging out with us, I appreciate it. And for a few of you that were in London last couple of weeks, what is it, 8 or 9 o'clock at night there, I think. So welcome to you guys. So just kind of interesting to look in the chat window where everybody's from. If you don't see a chat window, that reminds me too. Somebody had asked me about that. Excuse me, let me move this. If you don't see a scrunch, sorry. If you don't see a chat window, you need to log into YouTube to do that. And I guess you need some. I guess you just need a Google account to do it. I'm not real clear with all that, but if you're logged into YouTube while you're watching this, there ought to be a chat window on the right-hand side. So that's that. Well, I hope everyone was digging away at Jingle Bells last week. For those of you that are doing this, we're going to take it to the next step forward on this one this week. It's not going to be real lengthy, but it's going to be one that's going to be kind of a big absorb session as far as, and particularly for any of you who struggle to say, oh, I need to see it written. And I know some of you keep pounding me on that, but I'm going to stick to my guns and not do it. I think it's a healthy exercise to force you to break from the page. I just saw we've got somebody moderating. Jeremy's helping me today, by the way. Thanks, Jeremy, instead of Teresa. So we've got Scotland. Somebody from Scotland's here. Edinburgh, one of my all-time favorite cities anywhere in Europe. And Sweden, we got somebody from Sweden. So, hey, it's an international crowd. Everyone's going to be playing these kind of corny, jazzy jingle bells like crazy globally this time. So that's a good thing. Anyway, let me go ahead and actually let me just a couple more minutes. This is really frustrating because YouTube doesn't let you. A bunch of people find out about this the second we go live, so it takes just a minute or two for everyone to kind of get settled in here. So something else I do want to mention, just in case a crass commercial pitch, but not a big one. We'll just do it for a second or two. I do have a couple coupon codes going, and this is for ScottHouston.com, which is the books and DVDs site, as opposed to pianoinaflash.com, which is the lessons and course site, which is usually what we're talking about here. But let me pop this up. It's just a couple. I'm just trying to run a few promotions for the holiday season to help you guys out. And there are two of them. One, we have actually, some people aren't even aware of it, on ScottHouston.com. I've got a page that has some, we call it logo wear, the logo wear category. It's kind of fun. There's actually some, here, let me hop on there. I cut that in. I've just got some T-shirts and hats and stuff. I've got this logo that we've used for a while, this Play Piano logo, and we've got it on some T-shirts, and there's kind of a heavier jazzy one on there too. This is one of the big main ones. No big deal, but there's just some shirts and stuff. You can go take a look. Where you find that at ScottHouston.com is when you see that catalog link at the top. If you click under there, there's a category called Logo Wear. We also have kind of a fun, we actually sell a decent number of these coffee cups too, kind of a goofy thing. But hey, if you're sitting at your piano drinking some coffee or pretending you are with iced vodka in there in the afternoon, something like that, there's a perfect mug for you to do it at your piano. So there's that. Here is put that up. Here are the two. Oh, hey, there's a typo in there. The discount code piano logo, it's all, I'm pretty sure it's one word. It is. Yeah, there's a discount code piano logo, but you need to use it in one word. It looks like that auto corrected itself. It's just PIANOLOGO all at once. That's a discount code. That'll get you 20% off anything in that logo wear category. And then also for the rest of the month up to Christmas, for any orders over $30 on anything, if you use free ship to, God, there's a typo in that one too. Sorry, Mr. Bad Fingers today. Free ship 2016 is what that should say. Use free ship 2016 and you can get free shipping on any order over 30 bucks. So those are ScottHouston.com. And we're probably going to be running a few more things you might get an email about. And if you're not getting our emails, you need to do that too. And the way you get our emails is by going here to, oops, sorry, let me pop that off. go to pianoandaflash.com, and then up there in the right-hand side, you'll see that blog link. And if you click on that, you'll get to something that looks like this. And then over in the right hand, you can say, oh, it says, wait, where'd that go? We used to have a email thing. Jeremy, if as you're coordinating this, we need to get the email. We need to get the email newsletter sign in on there today. So anyway, get on there somewhere. There's a place to sign up for the newsletter there. So that's that. Actually, if you can't do it there, you can do it on our Facebook page, which looks like this. And see that sign up button, that blue sign up button there? That will give you a form that you can get on our email list too, and that'll get you all these things. So, all right, enough rambling. Let me go ahead and get to. I think I've gotten here long enough. We've got enough people here. We will go ahead and get rolling. So back to. Sorry, let me lose all this stuff. Ta-da! I tell you, about the time I'm 75 or 80 years old, I'll have this figured out. So here we go. Jingle Bells. Now, where we left things off last week, in this ongoing serial that we are doing, is this. Looked like this. I was saying, doing all the chords with pretty straight ahead melody up here. So we're going. All right, that was at D minor to G7. It was inversion, then down to the C. And then I did this. I introduced this last week. And then we did it one more time. Okay. So that is the basic part. And now what we need to do is take those things, but now start using the exact same melody notes and the exact same chords, but by changing up the rhythm and changing up the feel a little bit, we're going to give it a nice jazz feel. And there's kind of a method to my madness, pardon the pun, in all of this, that this is kind of the mental process you go through, I think, when you approach any new tune, right? Whether you have a lead sheet for it or not. It's at first, wow, what's the melody line? And then second, or you can do those in either order, what are the chord changes to the tune? So you kind of get that connection. So that gives you the harmonic structure of the tune, right? You get the melody and the harmony going together. And then after that, and only after that, do you then say, now, what genre do I want to play it in? Or how do I want to play it speed-wise? Do I want to do this as a really soft ballad? Or do I want to do it kind of jazzy? Or do I want to, swing real hard? Or do I want to do it like a rock and roll tune? Or whatever it is. Well, you're still going to use the same melody notes and the same chord changes, right? You're just going to have to interpret. Right? For all of you that are saying, yeah, but what if it's not written on the sheet that way, Scott? And I say, well, then suck it up. Close your music, and we're just going to have to pretend. We've heard stuff like this all our life, so we're going to start getting it out of our hands. So that's where we're moving to start making it sound something a little more jazzy. Like I would probably play it, and I'll do just a measure or two so you can hear this, and then we'll really get into some specifics. But I'm going to do it more, a little more up tempo and like swinging a little harder. So it's right. Something like that. So let's get into some specifics, and I'm just going to give some stuff away in no particular order, and then it's going to be your job to really turn it into your version of the tune. So here we go. Now the first thing, let's think about just jazzing up the melody a little bit, and I'm going to move it on down an octave so it's a little bit closer to the center of the keyboard here. So instead of just playing Jingle Bells, quarter note, half note, quarter note, half note, this is boring me to death. Right? Instead, I'm gonna noodle around with a little. I may run up to it, or maybe run up from two notes below. right? You're kind of trying to imitate a singer or a horn player. You know, the singer wouldn't just be singing Jingle Bells, Jingle. You know, you're going to say Jingle Bells, Jingle all the way. If they were not doing it like in a choir, I guess that's the way you do that. But anyway, so we're going to right. So you're going to have some. Maybe I'll slide up to that out. And I think I played doo ba doo ba doo. I was just E G E D E. But again, you could have been an E F. You're just kind of playing around. Pretend you're a trombone that you can kind of slide around or slide in. Right? Something. Right? Just kind of noodling a little bit. All right. There, I just slid up to that one. All right. If you wanted to, I just went. That's kind of extreme, but so that's it. Try to play it the way you would sing it. I think that really helps. Let me see if I don't have that set up. Sorry. Try to play it. Try to play it the way you would sing it, right? Or the way you would like to hear it played. You probably would not want to listen to a recording of this tune and have it sound like this. Although that's exactly how it would be notated if you were stuck reading music and you had your metronome going and you were counting very feverishly and well that to me isn't the way anybody would want to hear that tune played, right? Instead, you're going to want to hear it. You're going to want to imagine a horn player or somebody singing it. And I know I don't have a keyboard shot on here, but does that make some sense? That's always something I struggle as I teach, and it's been this way for 20 years as we've gone through this. There's always kind of a big step you've got to take as a piano player, as a beginning player. And usually like guitar players or people that have come from instruments don't struggle with it, from other instruments, don't struggle with this. Who really struggle with this are previous classical piano students. And bless your hearts, it's a hard thing to disconnect the fake connection between what's black and white notes on a paper versus what it is you're supposed to play, right? The melody line is just a guide that you may ever see written, and we didn't even see this written. We just learned it from scratch. But it's your job as a piano player. It's not only okay to do this, you're playing it wrong if you don't do this. Now that's pretty strong words, but I mean it. And so you've got to start interpreting or making it your version of the tune. This is all about making music, not just regurgitating what someone else has written. Yeah? Okay, so let me go on and I'll kind of get off my soapbox about that, but that's really the big thrust of today's thing. So moving on, just some ideas. I'll jingle all the way. Maybe you sing along with yourself and try to, even if it sounds hokey to you, try to act like you're you're being a corny jazz singer. Now there's something else. You can change the see how I'm not playing each one exactly the same volume? I'm like soft, loud, soft, da da. That's the kind of thing that gives you a little feel, right? And I'm just making this up. Now, I kind of hope that I never play that exactly like that ever again, right? I'm kind of hoping, excuse me, I've got a bad nose itch, which I'm sure you're hearing. This is not a pick. This is a itch. I'd like the record to show. Now see if I was doing it this way, you'd think, oh, oh my God. No, I'm not doing that. This is just a rub, not a pick. The Sorry about that. I can't help myself. So it really, I hope that I would never play that exactly the same way twice, right? I'm hoping that The way that just came out is the way it came out right then at that very moment, and I'm never going to do it exactly like that way ever again. That maybe gives you some freedom to not freak out about trying to memorize and all this other stuff, okay? So now let's move to our left hand and see what we can do there. And this is probably going to create a few issues because you're going to start having some rub your head, pat your tummy issues. But here we go. So instead of just playing, and those are the chord changes we're going to use, just like I did in my right hand, now with my left hand, I'm going to do something rhythmically a little more interesting. Like I probably won't just hold down the chords solid. Instead, I'll do like little stabs. You know, ba do 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 ba do do do. Imagine maybe a horn section in a jazz ensemble. You know, you think of the horn sections kind of doing these stabs. Ba 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 ba. I don't know. Again, it's just I'm kind of making this up as I go, but the point is don't just be robotic about it. So if you're doing them together, it'll be like you know, or I don't know, I'll do another one, you know. You know, it's all within that same confine. You know, you're staying within the structure of doing this. You know, you're exactly in that same box. It's just within the box, you're choosing to do some rhythmic variations. Now, they call that comping on piano. It's C-O-M-P, like it's short for accompanying, right? It's like the kind of a made-up word from accompaniment. But you're comping with your left hand, meaning your left hand's kind of accompanying or comping to your right hand playing a melody. So again, I'll move the melody down so you can see this. But if you're, you know, now I'll move on. Back to. I'm going to show you a little ending to do in a minute, and I just kind of went on through there. Now, a couple things came to mind as I was playing that. Now in the chord changes, you'll see why we've got a couple kind of dissonant, kind of passing chords, and I think that you can really now you'll want to pass through them like this one. You're really just using that as a passing chord to get from the E to the D minor, E minor to D minor. You're sliding down on that E flat minor. And again, I just looked up at the TV and saw that I'm doing this with my finger. I'm doing that so you can see the notes easier. I don't really hold my finger like that when I'm really playing, but just so you can see. So like that's a good do-wah, right? Do-wah, you know. And the same thing, then that exact same thing when you get to when I taught you to do this. I know this sounded kind of funny out of context to play. Talked about a power chord last week. It's just a way I can get you to jump down to that F before you come back up to the C. But that F, the black notes, the F sharp, that's just kind of a jump down there. So see how I just then back up. You know, you could go to. Nah, probably not. Forget it. I'm going to confuse you. So however you want to do that, that's how we need to get through that thing. So, sorry. So, there. That's kind of the goal for this week is to just try to start interpreting this thing. And I don't have hard answers for you exactly what to play when because I don't want to tell you exactly what to play when. I want you to make up this version of Jingle Bells. That's why you can hear 25, 30, 40, 100 different versions of a song, and everyone has their own version, right? I mean, how many people have recorded Jingle Bells or Silent Night or all these Christmas carols, you know? The hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands. Yet every one sounds a little bit different. But they're all, they've all kind of got this similar chord structure. Well, not all of them, but they're working through the tune enough and it's similar enough that you know what the tune is, right? Well, what makes it a little bit different and kind of fun is that everyone puts their own little spin into it. And that's what I'm trying to give you the freedom to do right now is to put your own spin on this. So, down to brass tacks, how do you do that? You noodle around with the melody line a little bit. Slide. Maybe jump, add some melody notes now then. Kind of sing it a little bit and try to play it the way you would sing it. And then similarly with your left hand, don't and you can sometimes, but don't always just plop down on a chord and leave it the entire time. Maybe you stab, you give it a little rhythmic interest as you're going. And I understand fully, and it gets kind of comedic actually, that when someone's trying this for the first time, it's almost like you're putting on someone else's suit and trying to be pretend you're a jazz player or pretend you're like, here I am, Mr. Swinging Nightclub. Hey, here we are at the Dewdrop Inn. Whoa. Well, that's not the worst thing to do. Kind of put that coat on figuratively for a while, and so it'll maybe give you the freedom to kind of play a little bit, and then you'll start sorting through what sounds hokey versus what sounds kind of nice, right? So that's my approach for doing this. Now, the last next week when we get together and we're going to try to wrap things up, I think next week I'm going to give you a little ending to use to kind of to close it. And then if we still have enough time to do that, then what I'm going to do is tell you a little bit about actually going through and well, a couple of things. One, I may give you the second section, or the fields we go. The kind of the B section of that tune. This section, yeah. And the good news is when I do that, and I know I wasn't showing you my hands, if we want to do that thing, I'll do it at the very end because you can actually get through the tune. I'm trying to get you to a point where you can sit down when you're at some party, holiday party, or with your family, and no one knows you've been doing this. You just sit down and, hey, you just noodle around a little bit and start playing, And they're all just going to go, what? Like, what? You're playing some piano. What? So I want to try to load you up for bear for that. But if we have time at the end, I'll teach you the second section too. So there. That's this week's thing. Now let me take a look. I've got a couple questions coming in. Judy says, with short arthritic fingers, cocktail. We call those cocktail wiener fingers, right? And is it okay to use just the 3-note chords and not the 4? I'm just not able to stretch that far. Absolutely, Judy. It absolutely is okay. Um, Let me put that on there. Poor thing. Sorry, your hands are hurting. But yes, and it's not really the function of your fingers being short. If arthritic is a different story, but short fingers aren't really gonna. I don't have gargantuan hands. It never ceases to make me laugh the number of times that when somebody finds out I'm a piano player, they immediately do. Actually, this is kind of good comedy, and it's the truth. I'll go in and somebody like, hi, what do you do? Well, I'm a piano player, and very often people will walk up to you like this. They put their hand up like, "Oh yeah, put your hand on mine. How big is your hand anyway?" They all think you're going to have like fingers that are that much longer. And I don't have that big hands, and I don't know many piano players that do. So, overarching on this quick one, Judy, is yeah, you don't need long fingers. But having said that, if you're dealing with arthritis, I get that. Yes, you can play just the 3-note chords. I'll tell you what would be nice if you could do it though. Instead of just playing these 3 notes, you could leave that top one out if you can. You're going to say, "Well, Scott, it's the same problem," but I don't know. It might be easier because I know that's a like a gymnastics thing that your fingers can get tired. If you can leave out this note, it's called the fifth, right? If you can leave out that one, you can leave that one out. So here's the 4-note chord, right? C major 7. We call it 1, 3, 5, and 7. If you're going to leave one note out, if you can do it, anybody, typically you say, let me just play these 3. Well, if you can, leave that one out and play this one. Because that'll still get you that color tone. And I think you've got enough space in the way your hand is. Your thumb coming up here is not so tough if you don't have to get that one stretched over to play it, if it makes sense. So if you can maybe do this, And the good news, and it just stays that way. The good news is if that gets to be a comfortable hand position, you do it all the way up, right? You go. You can do exactly what we did, just leaving that out. Gee, now we're gonna start talking about voicings. You're gonna you're gonna get me into all this serious stuff, you guys, whether you knew it or not. But we're not gonna start talking about that. So yes, long-winded answer. It's fine. Use 3-note chords if you want. If you can, make the 3 notes 1, 3, and 7 instead of 1, 3, 5, and 7. It'll make it that way. You can still get that kind of hip sounding. What makes that sound a little jazzy is that 7th chord up there. Next up, we have. Sorry, my shortcut for my camera switching is not working, so I'm having to reach up every time. I normally feel a little more professional and do it with the little secret trick I have, but it's not working. Any exercises, Armin says, to noodle with sensible fingering? Oh, or is it just practice? Yeah, it is just practice, I think. Also some tips on pedal use. Okay, I can do both those quickly. Armin, the fingering thing is pretty much practice. When you're noodling around, oops, wrong one, wrong shot. There we go. When you're noodling around, usually, I don't know what's the right way to approach this. I think that when you do things like I was starting using that little run up, you just do that enough. You know that run up always. I don't know. You don't end up like you don't hang yourself. Maybe this is it. Don't paint yourself in a corner by always starting with either your thumb or your pinky, because then you've got nothing around to you know what I mean. If you can leave the melody note somewhere in the middle of your hand, it gives you the freedom to have some fingers on both sides to noodle with. I don't know if that came out right, but yeah, if I'm doing this and I'm here, I can, always slide up just a single, just use a grace note, you know. Whereas if I'm doing this, it's like, I got nothing down there. So maybe that's a little tip is on these simple melodies, and you'll just get better at it the more you do it. But on simpler melodies like this, maybe try to keep your hand kind of, and I'm going to contradict myself here in just a second, but I was going to say, keep your hand such that you've got a couple fingers on both sides of the melody note, wherever your kind of home base is as you're moving around, because it'll just give you some freedom to be able to go up and around the note, which is really what the noodling's all about. It's what, something like that. Do ba do 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 do. So maybe that'll help a little bit. I'm not sure. The pedal use on this one. Now that what your pedal does, you can't see my feet obviously. For any of you, this might be Museum of the Obvious, but I'll say it really quickly. A pedal just keeps the sound going, right? Like I'm just playing. That's the pedal is not down, right? Now I just push the pedal down. See how it keeps sounding? It's called the sustain pedal because the notes will sustain. So as long as now I'll lift the pedal up, right? There, right? So it makes the sound stop. When you want to use your pedal, typically in the styles we talk about, kind of a safe bet is every time you would play a chord, you can play it, press the pedal down, and then it'll keep sounding, so you can pick your hand up and get all panicky to go find the next chord, and no one's going to know, right? Because the sound's still coming out. And then the minute you get ready to play the next chord, lift it up. Now I'm going to lift the pedal up. So here, I'll do it this way. Here's my foot, right? So I'm going to go lift, and then grab it again. It's like after you play it, grab it with the pedal, and then you can move your hand around, and no one knows you're doing it. So now I'm getting ready to play the next one, and I've got the pedal down right now. I'll go like this. I'll lift it up right when I'm playing the chord, up, and then I immediately grab it again so that it's playing and I can move, right? Up. So I'll do that one more time. Here we go. Right when you play, grab it with your pedal, and then you just lift up and back down the minute you play your next chord. See, by doing that, it gives you a chance to go, oh, where am I going? I don't know where the next chord is. But no one knows it because it sounds so smooth. Now that's it when you're playing kind of solid chords. Now that I said that, I'm going to contradict because what we're doing, Armin, is we're kind of playing, you know, that type of thing. So when you're playing these stabs, you obviously don't want the pedal down or it'll sound like this. Mud, right? Mud City. You don't want to do that. So, if you need to hold it down to move, you can do it. But all these little stabs, no pedal through any of that because you don't want it to keep. You don't want to keep sounding. You don't want that. You want this. Whatever you're doing like that. So there we go. Little pedal talk. Pedal talk. Sounds like a good name for a new piano podcast. It's pedal talk. Graybeard wants that dashing through the snow bit. Okay, duly noted. Duly noted. I'll try to do that. If not next week on the final one, we'll do that. What does this say? I'm sorry, I got a thing. I'm 76. I've had music inside me my entire life and wish I could get it out. My biggest regret, not learning to play an instrument. Well, no, your train didn't leave the station at 76. We have. That's funny. Somebody asked me last week, I think, do you know your oldest student? That is what it was. It was one of our pianoandaflash.com students, and he was 91. And I said, unfortunately, you are not the oldest. We have a confirmed 93-year-old playing. So all kidding aside, I really don't think. I think if you wanted to go out and become a concert pianist at this age, yeah, the train has probably left the station. But honest to goodness, to play in the styles we talk about, it's a function of finding a tune that's got 2 or 3 chords in it, learning those 2 or 3 chords, which will take you 10, 15 minutes, and then learning the melody line to it. And that's because we take this multi-year effort of needing to become a great note reader out of the equation. I mean, it helps to read some notes. I'm not trying to cast, aspersions on note reading, but you don't have to. There's no connection between how well you read and how well you can play piano in our styles. Let me put it that way. And because of that very thing, that's usually what really opens the doors for someone that may be getting older and saying, "Oh, I just don't have time to do this." I'm like, "Oh, phooey, you sure do. Just sit down and have some fun. Find a tune you want to play." I mean, you're kind of pitching me underhand. That's what we do all day, every day. So I'll leave it at that. But Wallcat 85. I don't care if you're 76 or 86 or 96. Your train has not left the station. We can find some tunes and you can have some fun playing. So try that intro. There's a free intro course. I mean, I'm not doing this for sales reasons, but if you go to pianoandaflash.com, there's a free intro course there. It won't cost you a dime. Teach you how to play. I think I do Joy to the World, something like that. But yeah, if that sounds like something if it's kind of your cup of tea and it makes some sense to you, the courses may be a good thing for you. And that's at pianoandaflash.com. That's the online lesson, and we are having great student success there, more than anything I've done in the last 20 years since I've been doing all this. So, Tom, do you have any tips for rhythmic variations for the left hand? I have noticed that some players flick off the 5 just before the chord change. Flick off the 5. I'm assuming. Let me try to flick off the 5. Something like flick off the 5. On or off? I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's what you mean or not. Yeah, not sure what I'm not connecting the dots with that too well, but yeah, as far as rhythmic variations, I think what you want to do, it's what you want to do is listen a lot. You want to listen to a lot of music, but it's I in my life, I mean, maybe it's just because I listened to a lot of, and I played in jazz ensembles and all when I was at school and college and whatnot. But I hear like horn sections. I hear a saxophone section going. Whatever it is, and I'm totally making that up, but just don't play. Maybe here we go. I'll be a better teacher. This is a better teacher. Let me give you something solid. Here's something you can do. Play something consistent from measure to measure like this. So I'm going ba-ba-doo-da, like 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, ba-ba. Right, so. Actually, because it took too long, I had to change the way it laid across there. Let me find one. Yeah. So you can kind of do that. How about this one? Do this. Da, one and two and three and four. So ba da 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 da. So just use that pattern. So you'll start 1, 2, 3, bum. I'm just going to do that pattern. Maybe that's a good starting pattern. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3. If you do that, and then but do it across the changes. So we got 1, 2, 3. Sorry. Now that's going to be a lot of that one I just played. I'm hoping that may help. Here, let me turn the thing. That may help, Tom. By doing that, I may have just given all of you a giant dose of this, right? I can't do it. So that's why I almost think it's better to not force yourself into some pre-assigned rhythmic thing, because then it's going to get to be a huge dose of this. And so kind of just do it so that you can do some of those things and your hands won't bump into each other rhythmically. And eventually, yes, when you're really digging in and you're wanting to do the aerobics that it takes to really get good hand independence, and we do that like in the course. It's when we're working on some of those of you that are in the course already will recognize there's some stuff we do toward the end of the first course of this kind of hound dog pattern. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Yeah. So we're doing this thing. Here, sorry, didn't have the piano on. Sorry. We're doing this sort of thing. It's this pattern. Well, that's a pattern that you really do need to keep going. So that bump, ba da, it's that old bass sound. It sounds more authentic when you hear down this there. It's this old sound. Excuse me. When you're doing those kind of things, you really do need to. When you're doing those kind of things, you really do need to stick to that pattern, and that's why we do it in the course, because we want you to kind of dig through the forcing yourself to and get all that put together. But man, when you're doing this stuff and you're just kind of comping, I don't think you need to do that. So, kind of got on a tangent there, but yeah, just don't think you have to play exactly the same thing every measure. It would get kind of boring if you did. So. Jeremy had a good idea. Yeah, that's a very good idea, Jeremy. Smart person that you are. Said, one thing you can do is play it through, and that is good to layer it that way. Maybe the first time, good idea. Here we go, everyone. Listen up to this. If you're trying to step it up, maybe you layer it up by the very first time doing it really straight, right? Sorry. Get to the my foot switch isn't working. Here we go. So, first one straight, and then the next one is. And then the next one is even farther out, some more complexity. Something like that. So, yeah, that's not a bad idea at all to kind of work your way through it and maybe just layer up, add just a little thing every time. I don't know, maybe it's an easier way to start building the cake that way. Tom says, no, I mean the 5 of the next chord. If you're going to a C, hit the G just before. Oh, That's just kind of dropping down. Yeah, I see what you mean there, Tom. That's I had a good point, and I hear what you're saying there, but yeah, I think that's going to confuse people. I think that's a little ahead of where we want. All that is just kind of dropping from the 5 down to the 1 if you're just doing that. And if you knowing what you just said to me, I think that makes some sense. So I think that's about it. Are we still everybody with me? Yeah, we still got what 50, 60 on something like that, 60 some odd. Well, you guys. I guess I'm going to open it up for how are we doing time wise? We're man, we've been on 40 minutes. My rambling continues. Yeah, if you got any other questions, something about something minor about anything else, why water evaporates, speed of the sun, something easy like that. These are kind of funny. These I'm starting to get my live stream groove going on here. It's it kind of reminds me I used to do some radio because you just don't get any instant feedback. It all comes late. So Merry Christmas. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I think I am going to go ahead. If everyone's, I probably freaked everybody out with this one today, but I do want to offer up to the world. What are we doing? We've got Brazil, Scotland, Germany, France, England. See, everyone's playing piano around the world. I guess Brazil's about the same time. You guys in Europe are what? It's 8 or 9 o'clock at night, probably something like that. So this might be a good time. I don't think my Australian guys checked in. They were giving me a lot of grief about how devoted they were that they were watching this at 8 o'clock in the morning on the next day. It's kind of like time travel. Oh, more. Jerry says Mexico, India. Fire up, everybody. This is good. Well, look, I'm going to go and check out on this one. We will keep your. Let me just go through the obligatory. Sorry, just in case anyone's stepping on here for the first time. The way you stay in touch, and it looks like it's working because we're getting some people coming every time. But just in case, here is. Let me just run through this gauntlet quickly. There's a red subscribe button on my YouTube channel at Piano Guide TV. I don't know whether that appears on the screen that you're watching right now, but anyway, the deal is here's the little trick that you've got to do. Instead of just clicking the subscribe, the next thing is, before it's subscribe, it'll look like this, right? It'll look subscribe, but that little bell, that little thing to the right, it should look like that, like this. Aha. So you want to click that little thing because that's how they will tell you when I'm coming to do live streams. And if you don't have that little notification thing done, it won't alert you to that. Also, as I mentioned earlier, but I will just say it one last time as we're signing off here, Facebook page. It's just The Piano Guy, singular. So facebook.com/The Piano Guy. If you can, number one, like that page because I keep threatening, we just haven't done it yet, but I will probably test doing some live streams there too. But in addition, that blue sign up button right there, that will sign you up. The thing I couldn't find earlier on our site, that will take you to a form that will get you on our email list where we will alert you whenever we're doing anything. And that's kind of the main communication way we do things. Do that. So you want to like the Facebook page and sign up for the email list there. And finally, just to mention it at the end in case anybody came on in the middle, on my site, just for a little Christmas, there we go, a little Christmas promo, although these are both wrong. So listen up if you're doing this. You can get 20% off these are both at scotthouston.com. I have a category at scotthouston.com called logo wear. And anything in that category, you can get 20% off if you use the discount code Piano Logo. But there cannot be a space between it. That thing auto-corrected on me. It's just PIANOLOGO with no space in the middle. So that's 20% off. And if you're going to do that, you need to do it probably in the next 24 to 48 hours, particularly if you're in the States, to get the cheapest shipping, because those things are made on demand and it takes a few days. So that's the deadline. You can still get them. You just pay more for shipping if you don't. And then also another on everything else on the site, if you use free ship, and that should be 2016, not 2106. Free Ship 2016 is a code you can use for free shipping on anything over 30 bucks. And both of those are at scotthouston.com. So moving off from that, I'll get back here. Eek. There we go. So that's that, gang. I'm going to call it quits. Thanks for everyone around the world. I bet a lot of you are a lot warmer than I am right now. It is colder than beans in Indianapolis, Indiana right now. It is chilly, 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 and I've never been happier to be in my toasty studio with my hot studio lights. So I hope everyone has a great week. If you have any questions, feel free to post them on a comment on this or go to the Facebook page and post it. And we'll do it. And I hope you all consider, if you like this kind of thing, going to pianoinaflash.com and signing up for our online courses. Everyone's having a ball working their way through them. So that's that. We'll talk to you next week, and I'll do the final thing. I'll give you an ending on this, and I will now that if you guys want to do it, I'll try to go through the second section as well of this tune. So thanks everybody. Have a good tomorrow, I guess, or for you in Australia today, and I'll talk to you next week. See you later.